DeChambeau gets his second U.S. Open, second major win at Pinehurst. Let me say, Pinehurst #2 did not disappoint. The U.S. Opens are traditionally harder than any other major. I mean, you have the Masters, for instance, because it's just Augusta, right? It's always going to play tough. But when you got guys hitting great shots like, I don't know, Rory on Sunday to, what was it, 14, Jacob? 15, where he hits that 3-wood, just laces it on the green.
Yeah.
And it sat right there, teetered on the edge, and it started to roll, and it started to roll, and it got to the dark grass in the bunker. He chunks his bunker shot, ends up making a bogey, and I mean, that ends up being the difference, minus the 2.5-foot putting missed on 16, and then the 3-foot putt on 18. So, what'd you think of the tournament this weekend, Jacob? Are you breaking par at Pinehurst? Not from the tips, but from like the whites or something.
I ain't breaking par from the whites. I ain't breaking par from the women's tees. No, not in those conditions. That's crazy. And that course has gone under a crazy transformation over the last 10 years. So it's been a while since we've seen it in action. Martin Keimer was last winner in 2014, but no, I think Rory, there was a lot of pressure on Rory internally and externally as far as his expectations for this major. Of course, it's not the fourth one that he needs to win the Grand Slam per usual, but we obviously revisit that every year. But I think I didn't expect Rory to be a factor on Sunday. Actually, I knew where he was, but not being in the final group, I thought really got to him mentally, with the fact that he wasn't there and with Bryson and kind of couldn't match shot for shot with Bryson. So I think that kind of played into Bryson's hand as well, because he kind of knew what to expect, has that extra hole behind him. So no, I think ultimately Rory putted really well. It's probably the best he's putted on tour all year, was this tournament. But Bryson has proven that he can not only hit the ball 375 carry, but he can also sink a putt from pretty much anywhere on the green. So
I was really shots from anywhere too.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Bryson. It's a shame he's gone to live and that he can't compete in the Olympics, things like that. But apparently, Colin Morikawa thinks that that's all going to change and that everybody one day be back together.
There's a framework agreement or draft agreement supposed to come out this week at some point. They didn't want to release it during the U.S. Open because they didn't want to take away from the lore of the tournament. But to your point about Bryson not being able to compete in the Olympics because his world ranking is not high enough. So you've got Scotty Scheffler.
No. They're not on the world ranking system. So LIV doesn't even qualify to be in the world rankings.
But the points he earns from majors qualify him. So because he's finished so well, he's at 10. And of course you have different countries or people from different countries in there. But from American standpoint, you have Scotty Scheffler at #1, which I don't think, terrible showing. Tyler, what'd you think of Scotty's showing? I know that one hurt your parlay. The one guy that you can always count on.
I feel like this whole entire year I've been betting on Scotty, and he's just been doing top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10, and then of course
win.
We called it the safest bet in the world.
Yeah, he's the safest bet. And then I see on Twitter he gets a haircut, and then it's like it was more than a fade. I mean, he was almost bald.
What was that?
Fade the fade.
That guy had he had a rough week. The barber, I don't remember what his name, but he was giving all the guys cuts. I think he gave Tiger Woods one who missed the cut. Scotty, God, I mean, you can't get that type of haircut before a major championship.
All right, pause. I was at a AA baseball game this weekend, and it was Dumb and Dumber night, and they were giving out bowl cuts on the field.
You should.
Would you, as a player, do that, or as a fan?
As a fan, yes, but I don't think you can get your haircut in the middle of the game or middle of the season. That's throwing up your mojo right there.
It might, like Scotty, That's what made me think of it,
I know he was probably trying to get that tan working on the back of his head, but I mean, he was a good 3 inches faded up the scalp. I know. Take a vacation or something, man. Like, you can't. I mean,
freshest cut. Sam Burns had the absolute.
I didn't see his. What was it? Was it the mullet?
I think they kind of shaped up his mullet, but it was pretty sick. I was like that was pretty good.
Well, he had for the Ryder Cup, he had the USA shaved into the side of his mullet, but I mean that didn't help him for the Ryder Cup. So maybe the key to playing good golf is to not get a haircut before your round. But like I said, The safest bet, I called it the lock of the century, was Scotty Scheffler at plus 300. I said, they're giving you plus money for a guy who's going to win the tournament. It's impossible for him not to win the tournament. And that happened. So
I guess it makes sense, though, because think about it. Scotty's played 5 weeks in a row, and 3 of those weeks have been wins. 1, he got arrested. So I got, his wife had a child. So a lot's happened in his last month and a half. So I can see him kind of falling off. He looked frustrated, visibly frustrated.
I think he was mentally exhausted playing at Memorial last week, because Memorial played just as hard as Pinehurst did. And he won there, and you could just tell he was mentally drained. So they actually announced today the schedule's changing, because Jack Nicklaus wants Memorial to be hard, like Pinehurst was, but they're moving it to where it's not the week before. So I think that'll be good for the players in that point.
Because a lot of times, like in this particular instance this year, it's gone signature event, major signature event. So it's kind of a lot. Like you got the Travelers this week in Connecticut, so it's kind of a big change, obviously, in courses and things. But ultimately, I think that this is how I always like the U.S. Open. It's my favorite tournament of the year because of the fact that it plays so hard. And I think that's how professional golf should be played. These guys are +7, +8, 9, 10 handicaps and can go out and shoot 62 at any of our municipal courses or whatever, 58, 59, who knows? But
I'd like to see Bryson shoot 6 under at the old municipal course here in town. The greens do not roll what he's used to.
Baton Rouge.
But no, I like it because nobody's going to go super, super low. Nobody got to double digits under par for the week. A lot of guys get to double digit pars by, halfway through the second round.
A lot of guys got double digit over par by Friday. I mean, that's what you want. You want carnage. And how about Vegas? Spot on. They set the winning total at -5.5, and -6 won it. That's just insane. I don't know how they do it, but they continue to do it. But what I was making my point about Bryson and the Olympics was you got Scotty Scheffler number 1, Xander Schauffele number 2. I don't think anybody argues that, especially since Xander has won a gold medal before. At 3, you have Wyndham Clark, which I think his world ranking is so high based on the run he went on last year and winning the majors. And, of course, all the guys going to live. So that kind of helped propel him, which I don't know if I agree with that because he is playing.
He hasn't been playing too hot.
Somebody tell me how that's not
terrible.
Somebody tell me how that's not Patrick Cantlay. I think
it goes Wyndham Clark and Colin Morikawa and then Patrick Cantlay. Cantlay would have finished. Did he finish solo 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, I think it was Colin, Wyndham Clark, then Patrick. So I think if Patrick finished solo 3rd or better, he would jump Wyndham Clark. So maybe Patrick Cantlay gets bolted up there. But I would take Bryson over Patrick Cantlay in the Olympics.